Okay, we're on the corner of, Tverskaya, which is all this, and the second ring, I think, effectively. There's Tchaikovsky's theatre. So that's effectively the second wing, the Sadovaya Koltso. There it goes underneath here. Mayakovsky's all around this area. Certain entrance exits there and certain further down. It's a nice area. Still fairly central. Anything inside of this area is considered pretty central within the garden ring. As I say, this is effectively, that's the garden ring going off there in that direction. We're on the north, or like, if you consider the garden ring as like a clock face, this is like the 11 o'clock position on the garden ring. So the Tverskaya intersection, and that road there carries on going up until it comes to, well, effectively Leningrad. On the way it passes very close to the airport. It goes out of Moscow into a place called Khimki. If you carry on, then you come to a place called Tver. Before you get to Tver, you come to a place called Klin, which is where, well, it's associated with Tchaikovsky. It's where Tchaikovsky did all of his stomping around. So effectively, some nice architecture. I'm taking the opportunity to film what I can and where I can at the moment because I'm not here that much longer. So as you know, I am, as I've already said on these films, and it will come before this one because I'll no doubt do it in a certain order, in the order that I took them probably, like I did on the Prague ones, which is where I was before I came here. I gave up the flat in Prague, took a flat in Moscow, and basically moved the stuff over. Now I've got to find somewhere to work now, and obviously the preference is to stay in the same network. I've had some positive vibes coming through the network from a certain place, but I won't say anything about it now. All I will mention is that this kind of nicely underscores the reason why I have to leave here, because obviously thanks to sanctions you've got 55 rubles to the euro now. And of course when I did my deal, which was actually in Prague in February of the previous year, so nearly 2 years ago, I did the deal, I did the negotiating at that time, but I negotiated a euro sum, and at the time it was 40 rubles to the 40 rubles to the euro. So however much I negotiated, I won't say what it was, because I think you've got to have a certain degree of secrecy about these things, but it wasn't by any means a poor figure. They were interested in having me. I've got a good reputation, so they're interested in having me. They gave me a generous offer in euros, but they didn't know how generous they'd been, because of course once you get from 40 rubles to the euro to 55, well, that's 15 on top, which is, you know, like it's getting on for 40% of the original thing. So effectively 37.5% more. On top of that, they kind of factored in optimistically a pay rise of 10% anyway, even on the euro figure at the end of the first year. So now, once you put that little lot all together, I am now pretty much, nearly 50% paid more in ruble terms than they bargained for, whereas their prices haven't necessarily gone up that much. In fact, there's been more and more pressure on their prices because of the fact that the economy is souring, going into a rather unprecedented, well, not entirely unprecedented, because there have been problems before, one in 2009 for example, and one in 1998 as well. Just about every 10 years they tend to have them, and now it's more frequent because of the geopolitical thing. This one shows it even worse, like 55.10 and 55.20. There's not much of a spread there. I don't know how much to believe it, but anyway, that's presumably close to the average rate 55.15. So clearly from 40 to 15, that's a 37.5% or something increase. Add on to that the 10% on top, and that of course also increasing by the 37.5%. Therefore, if you put those two figures together, you end up with nearly 50% more being paid now than I was when the hands were shaken, when they thought they were going to give me. So obviously, if you add to that the fact that their prices haven't gone up, it's been difficult for me to sell the things that I was going to sell because the foreign companies are leaving the market. They're not coming in so much. They're delaying. Kurakin. This is the old guy from War and Peace, isn't it? Anatoly Kuragin. They made apricots from the old princely name of Kurakin. It was just basically Tolstoy being sarcastic to one of his personal enemies. Oh, here we go. 7th of November, the day, 1941, the day of military glory of Russia. Huh? There we are. They like that sort of thing. So here we are. Same shops as you'd get other places. Not entirely though. There's Yevrosit is not known, but Canali of course is known. This is the Marriott Grand Hotel. It's known very well. Well, Marriott brand itself is known all over the place. But next to it, Chai Kwana, which is a nice restaurant, but isn't known anywhere else. And just recently, just down here a little way, I went into not an Apple store, a Samsung store. Looked very similar to an Apple store. So you've got a mixture of Western brands, the top-notch Western brands, and some homegrown good brands as well. There's Consul over there, which is Swiss watches. So there we have it. It's one of the famous streets in Moscow, and it goes right down to the Kremlin practically. From the Kremlin, it'll take you practically from the Kremlin right up to the, well, pretty close to the Winter Palace in Leningrad. This street, you can almost keep on it all the way. So we're making it one of the longest streets in Europe. Of course it's called different things along the way, but effectively if you just keep on it, it'll seem like one long street. There's the Samsung shop. Oh, that's the service centre. The actual shop was around the corner there, so there's a lot of Samsung here, which is alright by me, I like it. And then the Russian bank Sberbank, which is my bank here, Sberbank. Been invited to a meal in the Intercontinental, so that's where I'm headed. I just thought I'd basically make a little bit of a video note to post up in the future. By the time you see this, I mean, I'm actually 2 years behind in a sense at the moment, because I'm still doing the last of the Beijing series while I speak. They were really finished 2 years ago, this time 2 years ago exactly, and they're still going up. So my backlog on that series is actually 2 years old, but once I've done that, it will go forward a few months, because the next things that I'm doing, like the Dutch stuff, which is going up at the same time, is 3 or 4 months later. But then I took quite a lot at once, so again it probably will be that I go through the 2 year barrier. I thought it was bad when I went through a year, but now I'm going 2 years. Let's hope that over Christmas time I get some time to really slog and catch up with these this backlog, make a lot of films and basically put one up every day or a couple of days. I made some films when I was last in Poland, but then I forgot to take them with me. I forgot to put them all in my mobile drive, and then I left them behind. So that's why I haven't done any for the last couple of weeks. But they're all there, hopefully. So it'll all be done eventually, I hope. And all the other projects which I want to do in my spare time that I don't have. There we go.